I'm Eric Parker. This morning on CT 22, the legislative session ends and the state political conventions begin. It's been a big week in local politics, and we'll be sharing the important developments. We'll also have local reaction to information leaked this week that the U.S. Supreme Court justices are leaning toward overturning the Roe versus Wade decision. And Senator Chris Murphy joins us to talk about what's happening in Ukraine. We'll also get his take on how Congress could react if Roe v. Wade is in fact reversed. It's all ahead this Sunday, May 8th. CT 22 starts right now.
From WFSB, this is CT 22 with Eric Parker, sponsored by Hartford Healthcare.
Good morning and thank you for being with us. It has been a busy week in local politics, with the 2022 legislative session ending on Wednesday and the state's political conventions being held Friday and Saturday. For the very latest on which candidates got their party's endorsements and what races will likely head to primaries, I want to turn the show over to my colleague, Kevin Hogan. Kevin?
All right. Thank you, Eric. And as you said, the political conventions for the state's Republicans and Democrats were held over the last 2 days. The Democrats gathering in Hartford at the Xfinity Theater and the Republicans meeting at Foxwoods Resort Casino. Now, Channel 3's Matthew Campbell was at the Republican convention. Our own Dennis Valera was with the Democrats. And they join me along with Dan Haar right now, a columnist, associate editor with Hearst, Connecticut Media. Gentlemen, welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
Matt, let's begin with you. You were covering at Foxwoods the Republicans. How did that go for 2 days?
So Friday night, there wasn't a lot of drama. We did the governor and lieutenant governor, and no surprise, it was Bob Stefanowski and Laura Devlin. So that's that. So it's shaping up for Bob versus Ned round 2. And when I asked Stefanowski, what's going to be different 4 years later, he says, he's been out there in the last 4 years, out in the state, being very visible. And he says, as he was gauging the temperament of the state, he says he noticed a lot more moderates are going to be swaying his side in campaign 2022. So we'll see if that does ring true come November.
Any surprises there?
No surprises on Friday night. On Saturday, we did see some drama in the U.S. Senate race. This is who's going to be facing off against Senator Richard Blumenthal. And Themis Claridis, she secured the nomination, but there were two other opponents, Lenora Levy and Peter Lumage, who secured 15% of the vote. Thus, they're going to be doing a primary. And this is the question that I have for you, Dan.
Yes.
Having a primary, we're talking with Themis. She was saying, I wish there was unity heading into the November election, and to be battling it out between other Republicans between now through August, that could be detrimental to the overall race. What do you think?
That will not hurt her in the general election. She's got a steep climb to beat Dick Blumenthal, a very popular, maybe not as popular as he used to be, but certainly a popular Democrat, and with 100% name recognition. It's not going to hurt her because both of those candidates are way farther to the right and far to the right for Connecticut voters. Neither one would have a shot at beating Blumenthal. She does. Both of those people are great immigrant stories, came from communist countries. Leora Levy at age 3 from Cuba, Peter Lumage as a young man from Albania. Terrific stories, but they're just so far out of the mainstream that it's not going to hurt her. She just has to be her. She wins the primary, they split the vote, and she faces Blumenthal in the fall, right where she would have been.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Matt. Now let's check out the Democrats. Dennis Valera, you were there and pretty focused there.
Yeah, it was, the morning was pretty quick because it just ran with incumbents or people that were just running unopposed. So, for example, AG William Tong, State Rep Sean Scanlon for the Attorney General and Comptroller, respectively, and then Governor Ned Lamont and Lieutenant Governor Susan Bysowitz also running unopposed. So, nomination there, just skating through, no opposition, no difficulty. Things got kind of interesting with the treasurer race, which is where 3 people were vying for it, and Eric Russell got the majority and accepted the nomination. But Karen DuBois Walton, who is the executive director for New Haven's Housing Authority, she got the 15% threshold, so she's saying, I want a primary in August, which is the 9th. And then for the Secretary of the State, that was the 5 people running, and State Rep Stephanie Thomas got the majority, all 3 rounds of voting, and which was kind of a surprise to see. She also accepted the nomination at convention, although Maritza Bond of New Haven saying that she wants a primary because she got the 15% threshold as well.
Okay, thank you, Dennis. Now, Dan, you were there.
Yes.
What's your take on it?
The story of the day is Stephanie Thomas, first-term state representative. She was the 5th person in the race. She hasn't raised quite enough money yet. Other people had raised, there she is, other people had raised a whole lot of money. She comes, I won't say out of nowhere because she is a sitting state rep, but only the first term. The big question of the day going in is Stephanie Thomas going to get 15% for a primary? And starting to hear, I'm at the West Hartford delegation, I'm over at Fairfield, I'm starting to hear a groundswell. I'm seeing a lot of signs. I know signs aren't a proxy, but you're starting to see a groundswell, and you're hearing the other candidates all had problems. Stephanie Thomas comes in without problems. She's very calm at the mic. She speaks calmly. She doesn't scream. Slowly people come around, and when that number, it was 3:41 p.m., I looked at my watch, my clock. When that number came up with her in the lead with 28% and the other two at 15, 16, you knew that that was the game right there, and she had pulled it off. It's a really great story, and it's always great in politics when you see someone unexpected like that come and take a win. Whether she wins ultimately in November is a different question.
Well, let me ask you this. Now you've got millionaires competing again. Is that going to sit right with folks who are home struggling, making paychecks week to week?
Well, they don't have much choice. Those are the 2 for the governor, and those are the 2 for the Senate, right? Themis, who's no pauper by any means, is probably the lowest income of the group, but and obviously Governor Lamont's the highest. But that's who's running, and that's what it takes to run.
So how are the gubernatorial candidates going to make it different this time? Continue head bashing?
Well, yeah, I do agree with the idea that Bob Stefanowski is a different type of candidate. Whether that's enough for him, he is still significantly further to the right than the mainstream population, but the wins are against the Democrats. The Roe v. Wade decision coming in June is going to hurt him, obviously, because he has no record of speaking out for women's rights to choose, and he's going to have to do that, or he's not going to gain all those moderate votes. The Republicans are saying that the issue is the economy, inflation, jobs, and so forth. But there, Governor Lamont has a pretty mixed record. It's not that bad, and in respect to the budget, a great record. $5 billion surplus. So it's going to be a tough race for Bob Stefanowski, even as a better candidate.
And what about a Republican primary with Themis?
No chance of her losing. No, that's a cakewalk. She could campaign if she wants or not. They're going to split the vote if they both run. If only one of the 2 far-right candidates runs, then she'll have to work a little bit harder, but she'll win.
Quickly, can I ask you, what about voter turnout? Do you think everybody's going to say,
In August they will, but I think you're going to see a lot of turnout because of that midterm. This is a midterm that matters. Obviously, the Trump coalition is still in place, so I don't think you're going to have a problem with turnout in November, but August, dead.
All right. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dennis. And thank you, Matt. And thank you. You can head over to WFSB.com to watch their convention reports. And check out Dan's column on the surprise nomination of Stephanie Thomas by the Democrats for Secretary of State. It's all on CTinsider.com right now, and you can read it in print. Tomorrow in the New Haven Register, the Middletown Press, Connecticut Post, and the other local Hearst newspapers listed there on the screen. Well, that's it for right now in this crew. Eric Parker returns after this break, and he'll be talking about Roe versus Wade and the leaked documents from the Supreme Court. CT22 returns in just 2 minutes.